company is Crystal Edge Technology Screens. Yesterday, doing some talk about Crow having a habit. Crow1176 is an individual who sells screen paints on YouTube. And as I said today, this is an individual who doesn't know anything when it comes to screen paints. He's just basically just writing stuff on his site without basically backing it up. So of course, he put some more stuff on the site, and I'm going to show you what he put on it. And again, trying to explain to this individual, you can't calculate how much paint it takes to paint a screen by saying that, look, you're talking about I'm going to show you what we got here. So basically, in his claim, he claims that 2 quarts of his product is going to be able to paint a 300-inch screen. That is virtually impossible. You do not have enough paint to cover a screen of that size. So let me show you what we got here, where he says right here. 2 quarts of my mix will cover up to a 300-inch screen. That is not possible. A total of 3 screens of 100 inches. Again, your measurements are completely way off. Have you done these before? Now, this is what I'm talking about. Unknowledgeable. This is what he wrote in after we busted him on this. He says 2 quarts of paint up to a 300-inch screen. A total of 300-inch screens. Nobody. You don't measure projection screens on that caliber. You don't. You have to physically paint this screen in to show that you are actually painting a 300-inch screen in with 2 quarts. Just because 1 quart may cover a 100-inch, that does not equal the equivalence of a 300-inch screen. You can't break it down that way. It's not done that way. So you have to go in and physically paint this screen to show that your product can actually do this. Do you know when we deal with Sherman, Williams, all these big companies, when they tell you that you get so much square inch from a gallon, they literally paint this in to show that they're actually getting this specific number from this particular gallon per square inch. Everybody does it. You're the only individual on YouTube that cuts corners on every possible way you can possibly think of. That is the dumbest theory I've ever heard in my entire life. If you thought that was going to fix the issue of you not coming on YouTube and painting the screen, and you are sadly wrong. You're going to do that demonstration. You put false information on your website. You're misleading your customers at the end of the day. You can't back your product to everyday household paints. And here on your website, you're misleading your customers on the exact measurement on how much paint it takes to apply to a screen. Nobody, boy. You need to go to Amazon. You need to order that 300-inch screen, take 2 quarts of your product, and paint this in live so people can see. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. More misleading information. You're going to tell people first 2 quarts are going to cover up to a 300 screen, a total of 3 screens that equal a 300-inch screen. It doesn't work that way. You have to physically paint that screen in. You know how many quarts I know that it takes to paint in a gallon for us? Because we had to do the screen quart by quart. That's how we know how much it takes. And then on top of that, you still have to show that you have to have a percentage of it left over. Keep in mind, you have to consider the customers that are going to use more paint than the other. Also, too, by paint sprayer, you have to do this too, because paint sprayers actually eat more paint than a roller at the end of the day. So you have to show that you're going to get a certain amount of coverage. Again, and everybody pulls on the trigger of a paint sprayer. Some are going to have a fine spray. Some are going to be a little bit more heavier. You got to calculate all that in there at the end of the day. But by you saying, oh, no, all you got to do is break it down by saying that if you paint 3 100-inch screens, that equals a total of a 300 screen. You're not getting out of that this fast. I'm sorry. You're going to do this demonstration at the end of the day. You don't do this demonstration, we're going to hound you every day on this. Every day until you do this. And if you don't do it, I'll do the demonstration myself, and I'll show that you're a big liar at the end of the day, and it's virtually impossible to do so. For anybody, just to let you know, he's talking about the equivalence of 300-inch screens. Consider the fact that a 100-inch screen is 4 feet by 100 feet. If you put 3 of them together, you don't have a 300-inch screen. You just have an extremely long screen at the end of the day. When we did the screen downstairs, which is 250 inches, how we got the height of the screen, I literally had to paint the upper part of my deck to actually match the height of the screen. We had the length, we just didn't have the height. We didn't even have the height for 180 inch. We just had two 150 inch screens that were 7 feet high. Your screen's still going to be equivalent 7 feet high. You may have the length, but you won't have the height of the screen. Now you're talking about a 300 inch screen that is 147 inches high. You don't know how to do math at the end of the day. This screen is 12 feet 3 inches. That's a huge difference from taking three 100 inch screens that are only going to be about 4 feet high, which means you're going to have 21 in feet, but you're only going to have 4 feet in height, which means you're missing a great deal of the height of the screen, which is not there. So how is that possible that from those measurements that you're going to be able to paint equal that from a 300 inch screen to three 100 inch screens that will equal a 300 inch screen? It doesn't work that way because you're missing the height. That's what you're missing. Good gracious, I swear at the end of the day, people, I cannot make this up if I wanted to. This is literally this joker on his website explaining that if you paint three 100 inch screens, it equivalents to equal of a 300 inch screen physically. No, it does not. You are missing a great deal of the height of the screen that is not even there. So what happens if you stack them on top of each other? Well, now at 4 feet high, you got a screen that's around 12 feet high. But the problem is now you're missing the length. Where is the other 264, which is not even there because you only have 7 feet? It doesn't equal to a 300 inch screen, Jamie. Do you understand how to do math at the end of the day? Do you know how it works at the end of the day? It doesn't work that way in the home theater world. And keep in mind, when you measure the screen, it has to be measured diagonally, which means how in the world would you equivalent 300 inches if you're doing 3 screens at the same time? You have to have the exact same size of the screen when you're doing a 300 inch screen. You can't equivalence to, oh, well, we have 3 100 inches. That means that equals up to a 300 inch screen. No, it doesn't equal up to a 300 inch screen. You're short by a lot. Again, a 100 inch screen is 4 feet by 7 feet. You put 3 of those together, that's 21 feet in length, but you still only have a remaining of 4 feet high. That's it. Keep in mind that a 300 inch screen is going to be 147 inches high, which means it's going to be 12 feet 3 inches, which means you're missing a great deal of screen that's not even there. And again, when we did the 150 inch screen in the backyard, we had the length, but we didn't have the height. And if I go out back and I show you, you will see that the upper part of my deck, which actually expands to a 180 inch screen, when tapered off, was painted black so it would blend into the fabric. Because we didn't have the height back there, but we had the length. That's why it was expanded from painting from one into the next. That's how we got the 192 inch from angle to angle, because we're missing the height. Just because you paint 250 inch screens doesn't equal a 300 inch screen. You're missing height. There is no way in the world at 250 inches we ever would equal a 300 inch screen, because a 3 inch screen would be 12 feet 3 inches, and my deck all the way up to the top to the railing is about 11 feet high, which means I still would be short the height of that screen, even if I had 250 inches side by side. That's how I know you're bullcrap at the end of the day, because I built a screen like that in my backyard. 250 inches. 250 inches, you would think would equal 300 inch screen. No, it doesn't. 350 inch screen, even when painting the upper part of my deck, gave me the equivalence on a slant of 198 inches. That's all we got out of it. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, buddy, but you got to go paint that screen. You're not getting out of that demonstration. So this is what he posts. 2 quarts of my mix covers up to a 300 screen, a total of 3 screens of 100 inches. No. If you got on camera and you painted 300 inch screens, you have made the biggest fool of yourself on YouTube. You didn't do your math correctly. So people, let me explain something to you. Crow does not know what he's talking about. He has no knowledgeable of screen paint. He has no knowledgeable of anything whatsoever. I'm not saying anything. He does know some things, but when it comes to the home theater world, he doesn't know jack at all. You're actually off by a great deal, Go to Projector Central, look at the measurements that it takes to paint a 300 inch screen, and they will tell you that screen is going to be 147 inches high by 261. If you're building this screen in your backyard, there is no way in the world that you're building this screen off the measurements of 300 inch screens, because you would never equal that screen, because your screen will be 4 feet high. If you stack it on top of each other, 1, 2, 3, your screen would be 12 feet high, but still be 7 feet wide. If you take your screen and you stack it, 1, 2, 3, you'll be 21, but you'll be 4 feet high. You don't know math at the end of the day. This is why we know you don't do math at all. You don't know anything about math or calculations. So let me explain to you people how this is done. When you go to Projector Central and you're building a screen, the first thing you're going to do is you put the calculations of your screen you're going to put in. When you pull your projector back, it'll give you the angle, which will basically show the size of your screen. This is the angle right here. This is your height. This is your length of your screen. Good gracious, I swear. I hate to call people stupid at the end of the day, but now you see why I get the right to call him an idiot at the end of the day. Who in their right mind comes up with this ingenious idea that you're going to measure 300 screens to the equivalent of a 300-inch screen? Again, I have 250-inch screens in the backyard. They would equivalence faster to a 300-inch screen. You know, $1.50 and a $1.50 equals 300. That's how it works. Do I explain math to you? Because I can pull out a chalkboard and some sock puppets on you at the end of the day. You don't know math at the end of the day. So the problem you have here is the fact that you're missing the height of your screen. We're going to go out back. We're going to take 250-inch screens. I got one we used for the demonstration downstairs. I got another one. These 150-inch screens. Also, too, you also have to calculate that the screen itself, the inside of it, when you measure a screen, you're not measuring the border. The border is not counted. The only thing that's measured is the inside of the screen. So a screen sometimes isn't approximately 150 inch. It may say it's 150 inch. It's supposed to say 152. Because what they do is two ways they measure a screen. They measure the inside of the screen and they measure the outside of the screen. So they measure the border with the screen with the border, with the 2-inch border, would make it 152 or 153, depending on the size of the border. Or bottom line is they give you the measurement of the inside of the screen, the actual viewing area that you're actually getting. I'm pretty sure Crow did not explain this to you crystal clear at all, period at all, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. So let's show Crow how it's done. Let's go over to, let me see. Let's go over to Projector Central. We're going to pull up a projector. We're going to pull up the PX747 projector up or something because I'm doing some research on phantom technology. Let's pull up Projector Central. No one measures a screen like that. You got to do that demonstration, buddy boy. I'm sorry. You might have called yourself. See, that's the problem about Crow. Crow calls himself being slick and trying to figure out different ways to get around stuff at the end of the day, that he doesn't have to do it. He does not understand how things work in home theater. And when you cut corners like that, at the end of the day, you are actually, you become a fraud. You're outed as a fraud at the end of the day. Number one, you have still not matched your product to household paint, which you haven't done yet at the end of the day. But we're not talking about that. This right here alone just proves the stupidity. And this person doesn't know jack when it comes to home theater projection setup. Doesn't know jack. All right. So in here, we're going to go down. This is the search specifications for the PX747 for ViewSonic. See if we can track it down. There we go. This is specifications. When you go into Projector Central, what you want to do is you want to scroll down and you will see something here where it says that is a screen distance calculator. There's the distance calculator right here. All right. So we checked your account. We know you didn't do the demonstration. We know he didn't do the demonstration. He tried to do something slick by painting 3 100-inch screens. Oh my goodness, man. We're going to talk about that one and the next one in a few minutes. This is not going to be a long demonstration. I'm just going to show you. All right, in here, this is your projector distance throw. From your screen here, this is what you're going to get. See right here? This is going to be how you measure your screen diagonally. This is how screens are measured, this way, across this way. They're not measured this way. They're not measured this way. They're measured this way. So how in the world are you getting the exact same measurements from 3 100-inch screens to equal to an actual 300-inch screen? So if we do a screen of 100 inches, bring this back some. We gotta be forward. You gotta be forward to the 100 inches. Bring it up to around 100 inches. to 100 inch screen. You don't know how to do math. That's the problem. You got people who get on the camera and talk all this trash and can't even back it up. This is the size of a 100 inch screen. So this is where you have in diagonal. This will say you have a 100 inch screen. Your screen's gonna be 49 inches high by 87. Now keep in mind that each projector you use is gonna have a different measurement. It might be off by 1 or 2 inches. That's basically about it, but that's all you're gonna come into. If I heard my cat slamming into something. And it's all you're gonna come into by a couple of inches. We're using a PX747 by ViewSonic. So anyway, this is your height right here. So mind you, if you take 4 of these screens and you put them together, there are no way in the world it's going to equal the length and the height of a 300 inch screen. That is virtually impossible. 49 inches is, let me get measuring tape in here. Oh, I knew he was going to do something stupid like that, but I didn't think he was going to go that far. We should have it in here because I need it to work. Hey, you get in trouble, Joker, or you staying out of trouble? We don't find the measuring tape. I need it anyway, I need it for work today. But I need it for work. And we're gonna break down the rest of this because, like I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Good gracious, man. You don't do any form of math. All right, I'm gonna have to find that because at the end of the day, I need that measuring tape. I gotta work back there. I gotta do some, get finished measuring my screen size. But we'll get back to this, okay? Because we don't need the measuring tape to just see how stupidity this at the end of the day, how dumb this is. So this screen is 49 inches in height. There is no way in the world that you're gonna be able to stack 3 of those together, even in height. If you stack 3 100 inch screens on top of each other, being 4 feet, mind you have to count, they don't count this is counting the the entire screen. So there's 2 ways they measure a screen. And I'll show you. I'm gonna go over to, wait for a minute, make sure I signed out of my account here. Make sure we got this over here. So you can see this right here. So I can educate you and show you how this is actually done. All right, perfect. Right here, we're on the 300 inch screen. This is a 300 inch screen right here, an actual 300 inch screen. So if you go in and you go, let me see, 300 inch screen. Let's get our measurements here on our screen. This screen right here is around, let's see, the viewing area. So they calculate the viewing area. Okay, okay. Here it is right here. See right here where they talk about the viewing area? 160 inch wide viewing area, which means they don't count the border of the screen. The border is never counted because due to the fact the border is an area that you're not actually going to be viewing. That is just the border of the screen. So you have to calculate inside the screen of what you're actually seeing. So it's 160 inches wide. That's the viewing area. Basically, that's not basically being attached to the border, which he didn't calculate. He calculated the screen from edge to edge. That's how you calculate it. There is no way in the world, and I'm telling you that right now, people, possible that 3 100 inch screens is going to equal the equivalence of a 300 inch screen. Impossible. Number one, like I said, you're going to be missing a great deal of screen. And what we got here for the measurements here. So this is the measurements on this screen right here. The measurement on this screen is going to be 16:9 display. You're going to be in height. And this is they're measuring the middle of the screen. This is they're measuring the middle of the screen. This is the screen right here, display area. This is the display area of what you're going to be seeing from the display area. Still not going to equal this. So let's go over here to Projector Central, over here. Because I guarantee you, your customers can't be this stupid. They literally cannot be this stupid at the end of the day. And if they are, then that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Nowhere in the world. Let's show you what an actual 300-inch screen is going to be. Your customers, if your customers, we come in and we see that comment section and your customers are in there supporting that, your customers are idiots. They're definitely stupid at the end of the day. And I'm going to tell you why they're stupid. You can't get that out of a 300 screen. I'm sorry, buddy. Can't be done. Never. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Okay, so I'm going to show you why, people. This is a 300-inch screen right here. A 300-inch screen is 147 inches wide, which is actually, I measured it, I got it in my head. It's around 12 feet, 3 inches. If you are doing, Jamie, so you can understand how to do math at the end of the day, this is how math actually works. If you're doing a 100-inch screen, you can't say that 3 of those equal up to a 100-inch screen. You are short either in height or in length of the screen. So if they equal up to a 300-inch screen, that means you could take those 300-inch screens, you can basically post them up, and they would equal the same size of a 300-inch screen. That would be impossible. At 4 feet and 7 feet, that means if you basically take the screen and you you line it up the long way, now you have a screen that is actually around 4 feet high and 21 feet wide, which puts it in the area of the 235.1 category. If you basically take the screen and stack it on top of each other, now you have a screen 3 times 4 would be 12. You would have a screen now that is 7 feet wide, because you don't have any more screen there. That'll be 12 feet high. You would have the height almost near of a 300-inch screen, which will be 12 feet 3 inches, but you wouldn't have the length, which you'll be missing out of the 267, I think, like 250 something, out of the 259 something, somewhere around that age, but you're nowhere near the 252 length of a screen. It's virtually impossible. If a customer comes in and they want to know the approximate size to paint a screen, you have to give them that size. You can't go in and just second guess off the top of your head. This is why you're unknowledgeable when it comes to projection screens, when it comes to projectors, when it comes to environments. You do not know what you're talking about at the end of the day. Anybody else can do the math and add it up. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of somebody saying that you can take 3 100-inch screens and do and totals up to a 300-inch screen. Sorry, but it doesn't work. You have to physically do the demonstration to do this. All right. So stop cutting corners. Do the demonstration. Stop scamming your customers. Stop putting misleading information on your site, and actually paint the screen in so people, you can back up your product and back up your claim at the end of the day. But as you can see here, as he posts on his website, a Cinemax Mix is claiming that 2 quarts are going to paint it or cover up to a 300 screen, a total of 3 100-inch screens. No, sorry. Your information is way off. All right, people, we're going to come back in and we're going to dig into why Crow is a complete idiot at the end of the day, and how the 3 screen measurement is a complete bull crap at the end of the day. And this is someone who's been painting screens for years that can honestly tell you, no, that is not true. You cannot equal that to 3 100-inch screens. You are missing a great deal of screen material of the screen. You're going to be out of product if you do that dumb. If you even think about this is going to actually work, you're definitely going to be out of product. And instead of him coming in and fixing the issue of saying, okay, I'm wrong, I painted the screen in, my calculations are off, he tries to go in and tries to justify it by saying, oh, but wait a minute, if I paint 3 100-inch screens, it equals up to a 300-inch screen. No, it does not in any way whatsoever. You show me on YouTube. As a matter of fact, we got another challenge for you. Show us how we're going to get a 300-inch screen out of 3 100-inch screens. I want to see this. Another challenge for you. All right, I'll be back on.